Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Kino and this is going to be a 30-minute yin class. We're going to be using a bolster and 2 blocks, so be sure to have those handy and set your mind in the spirit of deep relaxation. So here we go. Let's come to a comfortable seated position. Close the eyes. Let's bring the hands together and a long deep breath in. As you exhale, let's rest the hands down. Begin with a few moments of mindfulness wherever your mind has been throughout the day. Consciously invite your intention into this moment. Be aware of your breath, the feeling of the breath moving in, the feeling of the breath moving out. Be aware of the sensations in the body, how your body feels, the temperature of the body. And then notice the quality of your mind and your emotions. Whatever thoughts are present, whatever emotions are present. And let this inward direction of the mind begin the journey that we'll take together. Then a long, deep breath in. And as you exhale, softly open the eyes, and we are ready to begin. Let's start by releasing any tension in the neck. So you'll drop your head over to the left side, and then drop the right shoulder down. And you can use your left hand to give a little bit of extra movement. Close the eyes and just feel that spot in your neck that needs a little bit of release. Feeling the tension pouring off of the neck. Maybe allow yourself a few deep breaths, keeping a light awareness of the pelvic floor, perhaps dropping the chin down, perhaps moving a little forward and back for maybe 2 more breaths. That's good. Let's do 1 more breath. Letting this connection between breath, body, and mind help you arrive into this moment. That's good. Let's let it release and we'll switch to the other side. So you can drop your head over now to the right side and drop the left shoulder down. Take a moment and release the muscles in the jaw and then add your right hand in. Good. So we're just gently give a little weight. Feel the teeth, the lips, the tongue, the jaw, the cheeks, the eyes. Release. Perhaps allowing yourself a few deep breaths, creating the space around the neck and releasing the tension through the temples, through the eyes, entering into that quiet, meditative space. We'll stay for just a few more breaths. Feel all the tension melting lightly away, moving a little forward until the neck releases. Very good. Let's do 1 more long, deep breath in. And then a long, deep breath out. That's good. Let it release and we'll gently come back into the center. Now let's begin and slide the bolster in towards the center. And I'd like you to move into a relatively wide squat position so you can separate the knees a little bit. Glide the bolster in so we feel the contact, right? So we want to feel the contact of the bolster with the body. And if you're practicing at home, you don't have a bolster, just grab a big sofa pillow or a big bed pillow. Then it's very important that your stomach can totally release on the bolster. So let yourself kind of come down. And then as you exhale, your knees can separate just a little bit more. And then drop your head over to one side and let it feel like you're almost snuggling down. That's great. And we'll stay here for a little while. Feel the weight of the body releasing. Feel all the points of contact that the body makes with the ground. Feel the breath as it moves in and the breath as it moves out. Noticing the sensations, the quality of the breath and the quality of the mind. Gently cultivating an attitude of pure awareness, so that if there's tightness in the body, try not to fight it. If there's any sort of discomfort in the body, try not to judge it. Let yourself experience the moments here as a free space to just be and breathe. If there are many thoughts in the mind, bring all your attention to the breath and lightly encourage the breath to deepen. This will help concentrate and calm the mind and help you make peace with the inner experience. Each breath as it moves in is an opportunity to release a little bit more, to drop down a little bit more. Give permission to the back muscles to release. Give permission to the muscles in the hips to release. Permission to the shoulders to release. Let the weight of the body sink. Be aware of each breath as it moves in, giving yourself permission to almost drift off into a space like you're almost falling asleep. Letting go of any tension in the muscles, feeling the mind and the body cycle down. Letting the nervous system release. Release a little bit more with each breath. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths, so that each breath deepen and elongate. So you can feel the tension of the day kind of draining away with each exhalation. Four more breaths. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. And the last breath. Long, deep breath in. And a long, deep breath out. That's good. Slowly, let's inhale. We'll come back up. Come up onto your elbows. Rest there for a moment. Keeping that state of dreamy relaxation. Inhale, walk your hands up, pressing up onto the bolster, sliding the knees a little bit in. Let's cross the feet underneath you, and then gently extend the legs. Great. That looks good. And again, you're going to slide the bolster in. And I recommend that you don't try to go too wide apart for this one. Just get a nice comfortable distance. And if you don't feel the bolster supports you, you're going to take the blocks underneath the bolster and kind of create a little bit of a ramp so that you can get a little bit more support from it. So you might want to kind of get that whole structure established. If you don't need that little ramp, you don't need to apply the blocks, but particularly if the bolster is very soft, it might be a good idea to give it a little height, okay? Then, again, make sure it has contact with the stomach. This makes sure that your stomach can relax. And then inhale, lift the rib cage up, and then exhale, pivot forward, and allow yourself to really find that sense. And this time you might want to explore maybe letting the head drop down and be symmetrical, letting the elbows drop down, and you could rest your chin or your forehead on your hands. So you can find that space where we can just be there. You might want to wiggle your feet for a moment just to get the feeling like we're here. Just to get this sense of almost being rocked into a sleepy sensation. Sometimes we can lean to the side for a moment, and then lean to the other side for a moment, and then settle in a place where you feel comfortable, resting the head on the hands or resting all the way down. Now we'll stay here for a little while. Close the eyes and drop down into a meditative space. A quiet space. Accept the reality of what is. There may be more flexibility than you expected. There may be less flexibility than you expected. So we observe the challenge of the moment and we accept. No judgment. This is the space for the body to just be. The space for you to feel what you feel without anything to prove. Observe any tightness in the legs, the hips, the back, and allow it to gently release. Allow the feeling of release into the ground underneath you. Feel the weight of the torso, the weight of the legs. Let the muscles and the body release. Accept again whatever the experience is. There may be some experiences which are building, and there may be some experiences which are decreasing. See if we can be aware of the beginning, the middle, and maybe the end of every sensation and every breath. Let the mind relax. Any judgment, let go. Observe the thoughts and any thoughts which seem to contain any tightness, let them go. Let the body melt into the ground, soften, release, soften, and release. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. So let the length of inhalation and length of exhalation extend for these last 5 breaths. Knowing the impermanence of the posture, let yourself really feel everything you feel. 4 more breaths. Let there be no right, no wrong, just the experience for what it is. 4 more breaths. Three more breaths, dropping deeper, deeper down within. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. And the last breath. On the next breath in, let's slowly come up to the elbows. Nice. And then let's inhale and push yourself off the bolster. That's good. Move the bolster a little away and whatever objects you have with you. Reach underneath your knees and gently fold the knees in. Take them about hips width apart. Reach your opposite hand, so right hand to the left knee, and then make a cross and just tuck your head in for a moment. So it's just a nice counter stretch for a moment that allows the back, the lower back to release. The pelvis and the sacrum release. Just stay for a few breaths here, almost as though you're embracing yourself. Let's go for 1 more breath. Very good. Let's inhale and lift the head up. And I'd like you to slide the bolster away if you haven't already done that. And if you're not at the middle of the mat, I'd like you to scoot forward to the middle of the mat. And if you're already at the middle of the mat, that's great. Keep the feet a little wider than hips width apart. Then I'd like you to roll your pelvis down. And we're going to move into constructive rest pose. Constructive rest pose is when the feet are a little wider than the hips and the knees touch each other. You can rest your hands on your torso and stay there for a few breaths. This helps the spine settle. And all the core muscles around the spinal axis kind of settle. Feel the shoulders and the neck settle. By balancing the architecture of the skeleton in this pose, we give permission to the organ system to move into balance and harmony. We give permission to the core muscles to lightly release. Stay here for about 5 more breaths just to come back to neutral. Feeling the sacrum and the soles of the feet and shoulders, the backs of the upper arms and the back of the head. Feel all these points of contact with the ground. We have about 4 more breaths. Three more breaths. Two more breaths. And the last breath. At the end of this exhalation, let's walk the feet in. So slowly bring your feet close together. And then cross your right knee over the left, keeping the knees relatively close together. As you exhale, gently bring both knees over to the right side. They could either dangle in the air or you could rest them on the bolster if that's nearby. And then as you exhale, just drape your head and your hands over to the left side. We won't stay for too long here, as this could be kind of intense. So just allow the body to kind of have the feeling of unraveling, almost like a feeling of untying, as though this posture is just what the body fell into, rather than something that we've tried to do. And this will help you tap into the state of being, a state of non-doing, and perhaps the feeling of healing. Again, this can be sometimes intense, so we won't stay quite as long as the other poses. Just a few more breaths. Feel where you can release the effort, maybe in the neck and the shoulders. Feel where there's intensity and where that intensity can unravel. That's good. Release all effort, all trying. We're almost there, just a few more breaths. Release the mind, soften, and let go. And that's good. Let's inhale, we'll come back to the center. Nice. We're going to switch the legs now. So I'd like you to uncross the right side, settle the sacrum down, and then with the feet together to start, cross the left knee over the right. Let that stabilize and keeping the knees close together. Then exhale, bring both knees over to the left, and they don't need to touch the ground. You could rest the knees on a block or on the bolster if that's nearby, and it feels comfortable. Then as you exhale, just drape your hands and your head over to the right side. Releasing through the shoulder, releasing the effort, the need to get anywhere, and just allowing yourself to be. And we won't hold this one for as long as the other poses, since this can be quite intense, quite quickly. See where the body is able to release. See where the mind is able to release, while keeping a thread of awareness tied to the breath. Notice the intensity on one side. Is it the same or different than the intensity on the other side? And again, we won't stay for too much longer, just a little bit longer, a few more breaths, keeping the mind quiet and aware, moving into that dreamy space where all is exactly as it should be. No fight, no force, just the breath. Good. On the next breath in, let's come on back to the center, and then we'll uncross the legs. Now it's time to use the block down. They get to reach over towards the blocks, and we're going to align the blocks in a T shape. So you might need to press up onto your elbows and make that T shape. So we want that lower block to be aligned with your lower ribs. And then you'll fold your spine around the lower ribs. The lower ribs will fold around the lower portion of the block, and then the head can rest up on that high portion of the other block. You can determine the height of the blocks. If you want to go a little bit lower, you can do that as well. Then let's make sure that the spine feels comfortable and the space around you is good. Then we'll drape the hands open. And after you drape the hands open, then you'll extend the legs. We'll start off with the feet together and then release the effort in the legs so that the feet perhaps will kind of flop open. This is a big heart opener, a big chest opener. So you might notice some emotions that kind of bubble up to the surface. We'll be here long enough to let the body settle, and then after this we'll lie completely down. So allow yourself now to really tune into the depth of that meditative space where each breath allows the body to release. Feel the weight of the body, any tightness through the rib cage, through the chest, through the throat, through the face. Release. If you need to rearrange the blocks at any time, please feel welcome to do that. It's your body. Try not to push or force. Just allow the body to fall into the asana, feeling the breath moving in and the breath moving out, feeling the muscles of the body softening, the skin releasing, the organ system coming into balance, the nervous system coming into balance, the heart and the mind coming into balance. We'll be here for just a little bit longer, so settle in. If you feel as though you're almost on the border between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, let yourself drift off for a moment. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. So let these last breaths be deep, almost as though breath, body, and mind have finally come into balance. The deep, harmonious breath, calm, quiet mind, and the relaxed, open body. 4 more breaths. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. The last breath. On the end of this exhalation, let's bend the knees. Press lightly into your elbows and lightly engage the back muscles. We'll now move the blocks over to the side. Gently roll the spine down. Then we'll move into constructive rest again for a moment. Just feel particularly the space around the lower ribs and the diaphragm. Let that settle for a moment. And then as you exhale, extend your arms and legs. We can lie down and take rest. If you feel the body could benefit from a little support underneath the knees, you can place the bolster underneath the knees, but you don't have to. If you're a little cold, feel welcome to cover up for a moment. Then let the body release. Let the mind release. And let the breath release. Keeping the mind calm, equanimous, and aware. Bring the attention to the sensations in the body and observe the change in the inner atmosphere. Observe how your body feels now. And then bring the attention to the quality of your mind and your emotions, again observing the change in that inner state. Observe the breath. Notice any changes in your awareness or in the quality of the breath. And then inviting these 3 points of awareness, your breath, your body, your mind, to continue coming into balance. Then allow yourself a long, deep breath in. As you exhale to reawaken the body, you can start off making little circles with your hands and feet. And then on the next breath in, let's go for a little stretch, almost like you're waking up from a little nap or a good night's sleep. If there's a yawn that wants to happen, you can let that happen. And as you exhale, let's bend one knee and the other knee and take the hands to the shin bones and gently hug the knees into the chest. You can give a little roll from one side to the other. Good, we'll do that one more time. And I'm massaging the back muscles. And let's roll all the way over to one side. Resting for a moment. And then as you inhale, let's come all the way back up to a comfortable seated position. The eyes closed. Hands back to prayer position. We tune into that good vibration in the heart, the good vibration in the body and in the mind. And we make the commitment to share that as we step off the mat and into our lives. A long, deep breath in. As you exhale again, softly open the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be filled with love.